We can start from the beginning. We are not alone. There will be other data spaces. The topics in this data space are kind of heterogeneous. We have circular economy, we have pollution, we have biodiversity, we have deforestation and climate change in the same bucket. Climate change, pollution, biodiversity, mostly about open data, mainly deforestation and circular economy, exactly. So that creates a really heterogeneous environment, and this is a cross-domain. Oops, what happened?
Yeah.
Sorry. The return key has several semantics. and depending on the focus, it does one thing or the other.
That's why you need training.
So, talking about semantics, this is the thing. There is something that is called the universe of discourse. And this is when you talk about preservation, you learn about this concept. This is what people that deal with the topics that you deal with know. So it's kind of a common understanding. English, for instance, is part of the universe of discourse, mostly. It wasn't for me in the past, but I managed to get it. What I'm trying to say is, since the topics are very heterogeneous, the universe of discourse, what we all know, is relatively small. So we really need to standardize vocabularies in order to understand ourselves. And this was one of the core things in All Data for Green Deal. And this should be, in my view, one of the things that should define the Green Deal data space. In here, representing this common diagram that we came up in one of the hackathons in our project, where we are trying to say that despite we have different data models, like for instance in the left-hand side, RDF or point object-based models, and in the other side, gridded models, data cubes, different dimensions, etc. What unify these models is the concepts that those models represent, and in particular we talk about the essential variables, that is one possible dictionary for observed properties. Anyway, this thing is irrelevant. So the other thing that I was discussing is data open or not. So while some cases are based on open data, there are concerns, and some data need to be protected. And I'm trying to list here reasons why that should be done in the Green Deal data space. For instance, we work with citizen science, so we have personal data that we need to be protected, and I will not mention the 4 letters of that thing. Biodiversity, there are sensitive data, so protected species positions, etc., could need to be protected. Circular economy, there are commercial interests on how you recycle things. You need to actually report now in some countries to the government the amount of stuff that you recycle, but you don't want the others to know, only the government. No, so this is about reporting data in the last line that I'm having here. That's different but related. And of course, there are other value services. So there is commercialization of data. Trust on the data and people, no? There are several things that define the data space in terms of provenance. So who actually produced the data? So people are kind of identified in the data space. What processes were applied into the data? So that's more or less lineage and authentication, as I was saying. There is, of course, a need for data quality. Was the sensor calibrated? What was the data validated? Are the quality indicators associated with that, which are, etc. There is a aspect of control. This idea of data sovereignty, actually this line was not in my slides, but Mark gave me some slides of him trying to respond the same question, and I borrowed this data sovereignty because I forgot. It's maybe one word difficult to pronounce. And actually I don't believe, and we are not recording, I don't believe the current approach in data spaces actually ensures data sovereignty completely.
And we have them recorded.
and we have it recorded anyway. Doesn't matter. Of course, there is this idea of contracts that should also provide some level of control. There is also this idea of integrity that is important in the data space. Was the data tampered with? Can we find the metadata about the data? These kind of things should define the green. Oh, not again. The Green Deal data space. Sorry. So instead of telling you what is a Green Deal data space, I'm telling you what is not. So the Green Deal data space. So I'm listing here misconceptions. So they are in red. So the Green Deal data space is an open space where everybody can participate anonymously. This is not like this. Adding new assets to the data space only requires that you have a web server and you throw it there. That's it. That's not true. The Green Deal data space has already been established and is waiting for you to join. I mean, we have been talking about this for so many years that people actually believe it exists. And it's not still there. The Green Deal data space has a copy of all necessary data for the European Green Deal. And all data in the Green Deal data space is free of charge. And the Green Deal data space is a cloud processing facility for data. And there is only vector data because the Copernicus data space ecosystems deals with the raster. Or the Green Deal data space removed the need for metadata completely. You are going to love this one. And brokers and adapters remove the need for standards in the Green Deal data space at all. And the Green Deal data space only requires a little bit of new technologies. So those are kind of misconceptions that really some people, actually the last one is my misconception. I'm a techie. So for me, the Green Deal data space is a technical problem. And that's not true completely. Okay, so a solution, the famous data space protocol. Here's the solution. You need contracts, and you separate the thing into two levels. They call it planes, actually. You have the data plane. This is actually business as usual. This is the way we were exchanging information in the past. We were using OGC web services, OGC APIs. I'm again biased into the geospatial world, of course. There are much more than just geospatial data in the data space. But you need a control plane. You need a control plane to do some kind of data sovereignty control. And this works like this. You have a federated catalog, and in this federated catalog, you look for things, and you discover something that you like. Then you start something that we call it contract negotiation into some mysterious stuff that is called the Eclipse Data Connector. And the third step is, if you pass the contract negotiation, you will request a URL to actually give you the data. And this URL has nothing to do with the real position, has nothing to do with the URL of the server that is behind in this other Eclipse Data Connector here in this machinery that represents what I call the all data for Green Deal node. Nobody in the data space talk about nodes, but I like the concept because every Eclipse Data Connector is kind of a node that is interconnected in a federation. So I still use that term even if I'm the only one. Anyway, you get the URL, and finally you invoke some kind of a data transfer, and you get what you want. This is how it works, or what the data space support center says it should work. This is a blown up of our diagram, and I will not emphasize into that. This part you already know is the part of contract negotiation and digital contracts, etc., and the different Eclipse data connectors that allow other providers to actually get connected to our node. And I'm emphasizing this because this is our storage, exactly. So cloud storage, and this is our machinery, the processing in the artificial intelligence machine learning things. And as you can see, this has nothing to do with the space that is actually this bubble here into the right-hand side. This is behind the curtains in each or behind each Eclipse data connector. So it's part of you as you providing things into the data space. As I said, it's not only about technical. So I have been thinking about the blue stuff in that diagram that I almost forgot that there was green stuff. So it's about business organization. And in the SAGE project, we have a full work package that is going to deal with that. And I will learn a lot. But to me is who can be part of the data space, which are the rules to actually participate in this, which are the requirements the data to be in the Green Deal data space should fulfill, what are the basic contract templates that people use in the data space, and what happens with the digital contract is bypassed or violated or something like that, because this will happen inevitably. So, is the data connector the only possibility? Well, I went against my own project and we tried another stuff. And this is about using blockchain in something that we call immutable catalog and using wallets to actually store certificates. This is a more distributed environment, decentralized environment, and a little bit simpler. And of course, it's simpler because it's a proof of concept. Any proof of concept is simple. If you start, building functionality here, maybe it will not be simple anymore. But for the moment, we are proposing this and some kind of an alternative that we believe it's clearer and easier to adopt by the data providers. And I will not go into the details. Oh. Because
being Spanish.
Because we will have presentations about that later in the day. So let's review the misconceptions. It's about it's an open space for everybody. No, I'm sorry. Participants are authenticated. To add assets into the data space require only to have a web server and something like that. I'm sorry. You need to be part of a connector or some kind of decentralized equivalent. It has been already established, and SAGE will do that in 3 years' time, maybe a little bit early. A copy of all data is into the Green Deal data space. Come on, this is not a data lake. There is no copy of the data. The data is in the original hands. If not, there is not data sovereignty, so it will not make any sense. All data is free of charge. There are commercial applications that will have some data exchange bi-directional or include costs or things like that. If you want to process your data, you need other things to actually do it. European Open Science Cloud, maybe. And of course, it supports all kinds of data. I'm just mentioning the Copernicus ecosystem, the data space ecosystem. That is not a data space, actually, despite having the name. And this creates a little bit of misconceptions, too. It definitely doesn't remove the need for metadata. Actually, the federated catalog is one of the core stuff, and they tend to use DCAT metadata for alimenting that. Yeah, well, brokers and adapters are nice and will have a function into the Green Deal data space. But of course, even the data space protocol is a standard, so there are plenty of standards to respect in there. And as I said, there is a governance part that will not be solved by technology, but by human interactions. And that was my presentation.